Flippity-piss. What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. It is Tuesday, August 11th.
Is that weird to say?
It is weird to say. I feel like because I've said Monday for so long that saying Tuesday now is just, it throws me off. I almost said Monday. I've almost said
I
Monday.
can tell that like you had to think for just a split second, like, wait, time out. It's not Monday, it's Tuesday.
Shout outs to Brez for the 12 months. Appreciate that. As well as Ryu Kuchi continuing a gifted sub you got from Sidious9. Appreciate that. Appreciate
Oh yeah.
How are you?
Yeah. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm a little tired. So if I seem a little loopy tonight, my apologies. I'm just we're still I'm getting back into work, and this week I'm having to go to work even earlier. So it's and now at the earliest that I'm gonna have to go in. But luckily, it's getting back into that schedule. But it's nice to be on a schedule.
Yeah,
It's nice to get up and go, and it's a good day at work. I almost pushed a cabinet, like a 7-foot tall cabinet, onto someone. So that was kind of scary because they were like, "Hey, this really heavy cabinet, can you come help us move it? Like, we've tried." And I was like, "All right, yeah, sure." They're trying to get it onto a dolly, and he was like, "All right, 3, 2, 1," and I just pushed. I was like, "Oh, it's a heavy cabinet. I'll push as hard as I can." And I did not need to push as hard as I can.
it wasn't as heavy as you thought.
He was like, "Whoa!" and he pushed it back. And I was like, "Oh, okay. It's not like the immovable rock. It's just heavy and big."
Yeah. Exo Squid, thank you for the tier 2 for 4 months. Appreciate that, man.
Tier 2. How's Exo Squid? How are you doing on the other side of the planet?
Ooh, yeah.
That is on them for overplaying the weight. That is 100% on them. So, but it's been a week. It's been a keyboard week for the ages in the Chewy world and the Mechs on Deck world. I remember so we'll get into it in here just a sec. We got some cool stuff to talk about. If you hit !CF, I think I put that in the stream title. Yeah. It's our Clack Fancy event that we are helping run. DD Klein, thank you for the tier 1 sub. But it's the Clack Fancy event. It's going on tomorrow. So we're actually not going to be like really streaming. We're going to be hosting and kind of showing off exactly what it is. Osiris and I haven't 100% mapped out everything, but we're going to have we're just got to work out the fine details of how everything is run, because it's going to be cool. It's kind of like if you go to like a convention and there's like a talk, right? That's how these things are going to be. So we'll talk about that a lot tonight. But first, let's get into some mail, but let's let you go first, because I feel like mine leads into a good conversation topic.
Yeah, you've got an interesting one coming up. But yeah, I'll go first. So, as far as mail, I thought it had been lost. It actually, I guess, technically had been lost, but not really. Basically, my mailman just delivered it to the wrong house. So one of my neighbors came by yesterday and delivered my black silk switches. So I've got my black silk switches as well as some additional stabs that I needed. So very excited about this. I can tell already from just like messing with them just a little bit that they're pretty decent, but I would do the lube probably a little bit differently. But these are definitely, I would say, good enough for like just general use. Like if you don't want to spend time lubing, especially because these aren't more money, this would be a great option. If you like need switches like real quick and these are available, these already, I can tell, they do feel great.
That's kind of a funny thought. Like, fuck, I need switches right now.
Well, it's like, if you know, like you like, I mean, it's happened to me before, right? Like you think, oh, I've got enough of this switch, and then you don't, and then you have to order the switch, and then you also have to lube it. Like being able to buy a switch that's already lubed, like to a solid amount, like that's super helpful, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Keep Noob, thank you for the 200 bits as well. Appreciate that. Also, Chewy swung by and dropped off this little guy, which I know he kind of showed it off last week, but I want to show it off again because it's so freaking cool.
It's sick.
The Osiris of the Year Observer. It's just it looks so cool.
At first glance, I was a little worried because it was like a lot of red. All I saw was red, and I was like, "It's like, yeah, that's not like the Rookie of the Year." Like for whatever reason, they ship with red laces, and it's because the Nike logo on the tongue is red. I actually wore those today, but I was like, "There's not a whole lot of red." Then I looked into it. I was like, "Oh, he's pulling his skin off. That's like insane. That's awesome."
Yeah, because I mean, well, it all ties back to the Rookie of the Year, like what Jordan was wearing that night when he accepted it. So, but yeah, I'm excited. This thing looks awesome. Does kind of look like Jake the dog. Also, Keep Noob, thank you for the 200 bits. Appreciate it. And then what's on my desk? It's the Square 80. Square 80 with Infinity Sanctuary Rebirth. It looks great. This board feels really good.
And it does have both blockers, despite
yeah, well,
despite a couple. It's because it's actually funny, even on because I can't see what is on the actual like screen right now. I see a different camera, but it is funny how black that plate is, because it's strange that we don't see it, and I actually really like that, where the kind of external internal is a different color. And so it does kind of have this strange look, but on the picture it almost looked like it had like Vanta black or the blackest black paint on it, because it was just like no color, no light, no anything.
Yeah, no, it really does. Like, I mean, even I think if I show it here, you can with the way the lighting is, you can actually barely even see that blocker. Like, yeah, it's very, very dark, and with the Infinity Sanctuary Rebirth on it, which a lot of people always talk about how with PBT, because of the way that the caps are colored, it's like basically impossible for it to get actual black. They've done a great job with this set. So, but All Hex is not a personal build. It's actually for a buddy, an OG of the channel. I'm just using it for a little bit. I do miss the thick boy plate design. That was a thing of the past. It seems like we're going away from that. But it feels great and it sounds pretty cool. I wish it was a little bit heavier. That's the thing.
Like the board or the switches?
The switches were a little bit heavier, but I mean, such is life. It's red inks. They're light boys. So
baby light boys.
Baby light boys. What about you, Mr. Chewy?
Well, I knew I wouldn't, and I still haven't. It hasn't left. This is the Crown TKL. I know I've yet to type on something else. I've been enjoying this so much. They're starting to break in. They're starting to get that where the lube's starting to settle in, and it just is sounding so much better, which typically doesn't happen for a little bit because I switch boards so much, but I haven't wanted to. Like, I have had zero desire to switch to another board at this time. So I am TKL bros.
Is Chewy going linear now? Like, are you feeling the linear game?
You know what's funny is, so I have 3 linear boards at the moment, and I think I only have 2 tactile boards. But I'm going to be 3 and 3 here very shortly. But my work board is linear. It's the SM keyboards board. I have that at work, and that's creams, and then the one at home's been creams. So I'm just like, whatever. Like, I just like what I mean. I enjoy. I have nothing against linears. I do prefer tactiles, but creams just sound really good. And 98 grams in this bad boy is oof.
Yeah.
Oof. So, and I got some cool mail. So, the first one Uh, one of our partners. I did buy this. I did not. This was not like provided to us by any means. Or if it was, Osiris would be really upset that he didn't get these.
Yeah.
But I got the Smith and Rune sweatpants. Very comfortable. My full review is they are a little baggy, so they're called joggers, but I would call them more sweatpants than joggers. I think the fact that they do have like the little cuff, the elastic cuff, but it's a pretty big cuff. So this is a clothing channel now, apparently. But no, it's got the logo. I guess they had said there was a mix up on whether or not this was embroidered. This is actually screen print. Not a big issue or deal breaker for me. But like I said, very comfy, closer to sweatpants. But if you really like them, I mean, it's a little pricey for sweatpants, but you want to support a good vendor, support some cool guys, and be comfortable. Do that, and I've got my travel pants now for the winter. If we're gonna be, I'm hoping, I'm not, we're gonna be obviously very very safe about if we decide to travel anytime soon. But if we travel before March, you gotta rep the brand. So, okay, I got something else. um, Kind of crazy that this is in my hands.
It exists.
It exists. So what is this keyboard? If you have joined the hobby post 2018, if you joined the hobby in 2019, you might not even know that this board exists. This is the M0110. Alhax is not the Lumina, unfortunately. This is the M0110. So what is this 60% HHKB keyboard doing with me? So I'll do one more quick show off, and then we can take it back to normal cam and talk. And talk about this board because it's going to lead into some. Come on,
it is thick. It is a thick boy.
It's also fucking heavy as shit. I'll leave it in frame. So, I'm gonna take you on a little journey. All right. So I get into the hobby, and about the conversation started happening January, February-ish of 2018. I told Osiris he had been in the hobby for about 8 months at that point. He had built a couple boards. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready. I think I want to try something different, try something new. And really, my biggest thing is I wanted some cool looking caps. I was like, I want some cooler looking caps. So get into the hobby, try a couple different keyboards, really enjoy them. And I really like the HHKB aesthetic. I loved that the blockers, it just looks super clean. And so I was like, all right, well, let's find a board. I love the thick bezels. I just thought this looks, and I still love the way this looks, but I loved how much this, like how it looked. I loved the fact that back then, still a little bit now, I'd say, but I feel like sometimes we're kind of moving away from it at some points, where like weight meant premium. But I was like, this is a heavy board without a weight. Like that's such a cool idea. And so I ordered. It was my first keyboard group buy. I'd gotten a couple keyboards from KBD fans. It was my first keyboard group buy. I bought this. I purchased this. I got up at like 4 a.m. so I could get an early serial number, which, long story short, it does not have a serial number on it.
Opted out of that eventually.
Once I was able. Have any engravings? I forgot. So June 29th of 2018, I ordered this board. It said it will be ready in November. And I was nothing but hype. I was super excited. A couple months later, I bought a TX60, which honestly kind of changed my perception of a lot of things. Love the TX60, but was super hyped. If this means anything, my plan for this was box navies with GMK Olivia. And I waited and I waited, and I'll let you take over of the issues that ran in that arose from this group.
Yeah, so I mean, this is 2018. I feel like was kind of a big shifting point for the hobby. in terms of like design, the way things were done, as well as like the prevalence of vendors. You know, back then Dixie wasn't anywhere near as big as he is now. Canon Keys, I don't think even existed yet. Project Keyboard definitely didn't exist yet. A lot of what we know today was just a thought. It was a little bit more of a wild west.
Yes.
The M0110 was supposed to be done fully in America. That was a big ploy of it. It was done. It was milled from 2 blocks of U.S. aluminum here in America. And that was one of the things. And as what a lot of people know now, with more things happening that were supposed to happen in America, realizing, hey, a lot of times, if you're not paying the big bucks, it's going to take forever, and the quality's not going to be as great as what you can produce for a fraction of the cost of overseas. They had issues with manufacturing, issues with basically everything. They decided to wait until about 3 days before they were supposed to be delivered to even say that it had been delayed. So like it was like the Monday before Thanksgiving. Yep. They announced that
Monday
it was delayed.
Or the weekend. It said the week of Thanksgiving, and it was like, I remember the day because I was we were about to start. We were like, I just started my break from school for Thanksgiving break, and I got in the car and I was like, it was like, oh, you have an email, and it said desk candy, and I was like, oh, and then I looked and it was like, it's delayed, and I remember like being pissy and driving around that day, like being really just upset about like it's delayed. And because, you know, like I just dealt with Olivia being delayed a couple of weeks, or like it was like 2 months, I think, for Olivia. That got delayed a little bit. I was still in post box switch hell. I still have my TX60, and I really enjoyed it. My daily beater at that point was an HHKB TX60 with camping and Zeal V1s. So Holy Pandas hadn't even really hit you. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, Holy Pandas, I think at that time around the November was right before the I believe it's Supervan did the B-Sun ones.
The Holy Jesus.
Yeah, the Holy Jesus switches, and that was when Holy Pandas were like $4 to $5 per switch. When it's hilarious because like 4 months before that, you couldn't pay someone to take the OG Pandas. Like they had tons of them. They were selling for almost nothing. But so it got delayed, and then it continually got delayed. I think initially they had projected it to be done by like spring 2019, like early spring, like March.
They said February. It was February. Yeah. I remember they said small delays, but February.
Yeah, and then they had issues with laser engraving, then they had issues with Cerakote, and they had more issues with machining, and then it was like it was just a giant cluster of things needing to be done in like 7 different places. Whereas a lot of times, you know, especially with things that are done overseas, typically it's done in, you know, just one factory. You know, or if it's done in multiple places, they handle it like you're not dealing with 6 or 7 different things. Whereas the M0110, it seemed like the boards were getting machined somewhere, then he was tapping the screws, and then they were getting coated, and then he was retapping the screws, and then they were getting like engraved somewhere else. It was just it was
too many moving parts.
Yeah, it was too many moving parts, but then they had the issue where some of them were delivered. Some of the Cerakote options were delivered. One of them was supposed to look like Olivia, did not look like Olivia. Rose gold.
Yeah, that was orange. I remember that one.
Yeah, and then finally we get to today, 2 years and 2 months, almost a month and 6 weeks later.
I counted; it was like 768 days.
It arrives,
or something like that. It arrives. So, real quick, I'm building this Saturday. So for those wondering, 2 p.m. Central Time, I will be building this Saturday. Full disclosure, this is no longer my board. I sold it to a friend who is local. So we'll talk about this in just a second about how things change, right? But I don't like HHKB. I used it on my TX60 for a very long time and realized that it didn't. I need my control. Got to be able to crouch in video games, and I would do like the awkward pinky crouch, but I didn't want to. A lot of people say this, and I know a lot of people told Osiris this, and they're like, "Oh, just put control on caps lock." It's like, no, I don't want to. Like, I don't want to. My muscle memory is already there. I don't want to have to change based on. I don't want to have to change muscle memory every single time I grab a new keyboard. I think for both of us, we can say at least like, that excludes the Alice. That's a little bit different, but I didn't like HHKB, so I knew, kind of going into this that I was like, I'm honestly probably just going to sell it. Like it's not that big of a deal. I didn't sell the spot technically. I didn't like I did. I will say before even Mechs on Deck, I tried to sell the spot because I was like, I'm done with this board. I don't want this. Kind of got woke. If you want to sell the spot, that's fine, but don't put it on the vendor. That's what I would say. Handle everything outside of the vendor, but honestly, I just wouldn't. I just would wait until there's physical product in hand, because selling spots just gets really iffy, and you're making promises, and it's all based. At the end of the day, the guy could email the guy could email him and go, "Hey, ship it to me," and then you lose all your money, and so the guy's laughing his way. But a good buddy, local guy, he was like, "Hey, I want it," and I was like, "All right, it's yours." And full disclosure, I sold it to him exactly what I paid, down to shipping, to the penny. So I didn't make any money off this board. I didn't lose. I mean, I kind of made money in the sense that I spent this money 2 years ago, and now I'm getting that money back. So I just got a little loan.
Wouldn't you have lost money based on inflation?
Yeah, I guess based on inflation, I probably lost about 80 cents or something. So if you're listening, person who bought this, I'm going to need 80 more cents. So, and we'll go over the specs of this, but basically, yeah, this is no longer mine. I'm building this out. He did say, "Hey," I kind of asked like, "Hey, can I build it? Cause I do want to build it." So, but very, very excited to build this and type on it for a little bit. But I'm more excited that, it's like keeping it in the family. If you have keyboard friends, don't try and make money off your keyboard friends. Try not to make a whole lot of money off of people anyway. But don't try and make money off your keyboard friends if you don't want something. And two, if it's in the family, like, if I hit them up and go, "Hey, can I borrow this for a week?" Do like a weekly keyboard trade, right?
Yeah.
Just type it out. Anyway, so what's this board? This is a top mount 60% board. It is all aluminum. It weighs so much fucking pounds.
It weighs a lot.
A lot. This thing weighs 2 ounces shy of 7 pounds unbuilt.
Wow.
Just plate and body. It's got felt. This is the interesting. It's got felt bump-ons. That was nice. Interesting. So it might slide a little bit more, but hey. But for example, the crown that's on my desk is 4 ounces built. 4 ounces heavier than this. That's a TKL versus a 60%. Just to show the girth. This is going to be a small workout. Hold on. Girth.
The word choices.
You know it, dude.
It does not have a weight biohazard. It is just chonk. And it's funny
That's
because
the width.
Yeah, it's almost as wide as the T. It's like 1U shorter, maybe.
If that. Yeah, about 1U. Oh, fuck, that's a lot. It's just holding up 14 pounds.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the thing is there was Mints really just recently built one on stream last week. She built a white one, I believe. And one thing I noticed about it, whereas the first thing that I noticed of like possible issue with that board and to be careful that thing is going to break a lot of custom cables because the PCB is so far recessed into the board that to plug it in is like, you just got to be careful. Don't tug on the cable too hard because you can't touch the shielding. Obviously, if you don't know, with your custom cables that you get from, whether it's Zap cables or someone else, you're supposed to be pulling them by the metal housing. If you pull them by the cable, it's going to break a lot quicker. That you're going to have to pull it on by the cable because it's so far in. You're just not even going to have the opportunity to pull it by the housing.
It is not 9. It is about 15/16 of an inch deep. That doesn't sound very deep. That's very freaking deep for a cable.
Yeah. So anyone that's like looking to get one, be careful.
Yeah, it's but this is it's very cool. For those who also don't know, this is based off of an Apple keyboard that was released in the 80s. It's the modern M0110 is the official name for it. The M0110 was an HH key. It was stylized off of the HHKB, I believe. I could have that backwards. I don't remember. I'm not as up to date on my keyboard history of the 80s. But the all metal version, this is a board that was designed in 2017. So we're going to talk about design here for a minute. This board was designed in 2017 and finalized in early 2018. This board does not have a chance to really shine in 2020. So this is something that Yanglad talked about on our stream when we had him about a little bit last year. So this was in part with John from Desk Keys and Yanglad. So the design being 2 years old, I mean, look how far we've come. Gaskets were not a thing when this board was designed, or if they were on one board. That it was not a big deal. Gaskets weren't even really a big thing. That at that point, top mount was the thing. Top mount's kind of old news at this point. This is outside of that, I mean, you can kind of tell like brass plate's the way to go. This doesn't have a weight. A lot of places have weight, but the design just kind of is, it's all right. It's whatever. But it used to be like, oh, this is a really nicely designed board. Now you look at the Bauer, you look at the Iron, you look at everything Key Colts come out with. It doesn't hold a candle to any of that.
Yeah. It's in Cracks, welcome. We are not talking about the Cyber deck. We're talking about the M0110, which Chewy just received. Also, what up, Golden Ashtray? How you doing? Yeah, so that's an interesting thing because we've seen this with a couple other boards. Another board that took forever that's just now getting out that I think is probably a little bit better positioned for 2020 is like the Mechs SS. But it's funny because I feel like keyboards right now, the standard I feel like has been lifted a little bit more. They are doing more, right? Like the designs are done to be more. The M0110 obviously because it is playing into the design of a board from 1984 or 85 or whatever. It's machined to be simple. But you're right, it doesn't really stack up. As someone, we both own TX60s and like I don't touch my TX60 at all. I'm considering selling it. I know you parted ways with both of yours because it doesn't stack up to thing. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't stack up to the way things are being done now because we've hit a point where there are so many options and things are becoming so much more refined because of boards that have been out in the last, the boards that released 3 years ago are what caused us to be more refined. So it just sucks that this board is now getting out to people and people aren't going to be as happy with it. I would say a lot of people won't be as happy with it as if they were spending that money now, or even 9 months ago on something that would be shipping right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's brings me to another point of well, I guess we'll talk about TX60 because I think this is something that was supposed to be like this, and my TX60 were supposed to be the kind of two main boards that I had. I had never even dreamt of at this point designing my own keyboard when I bought this. That was so far off my radar. I'd never even thought about it. Did you guys say if you were still building? Yes, I am building this Saturday. So I sold it to a local friend. He agreed to, and will remind me about the PCB. He agreed to let me build one of. He's getting a custom plate cut for this. So he agreed to let me build the first build of his 2 builds for this board. So very excited about that. PCB, the XD60. Now, at the time, I was excited. I haven't even opened that box yet. It's still sitting in there. I need to test it. It was Type C, and I was super pumped because I was like, sweet, Type C. Like, we're into the future, which is ironic because 3 of my 5 boards currently run on Mini. Just one's older. This one used an older PCB, and I had to use another older PCB because I screwed up a newer one. But yes, Swiss cheese PCB. The XD60 was meant to be like, oh, it's gonna be the not GH60. What's the one from KBD fans?
DZ.
Everyone. DZ. Thank you. So the DZ60, it's going to be that, but nicer quality. Well, we've learned now that that's not what a good makes. That's not what I want in a nice PCB. What I want in a nice PCB is more limited layouts, so that the PCB has better switch placement and better switch alignment without just, a routed hole through the entire.
And like, dude, the XD60, like looking at it. Yeah, like looking at it. What's up, Tactilitarian? Thank you for the tier 1. Appreciate it, my dude. It has been a while. It's been a while. Yeah, the DZ60 is like, DZ and the XD60 are very Swiss cheese. If you're not familiar with what that looks like, just Google it. It literally, the bottom 2 rows are basically just holes on holes on holes. And when you have that, it just makes it to where those switches are a little bit harder to align, especially if you're using something like Holy Pandas or switches that aren't plate mount, and even sometimes plate mount switches have a hard time getting actually seated correctly. And even, you got to spend a lot of time, and no one wants to spend that much time trying to line up your entire bottom 2 rows.
I forgot I did. So I did actually get a second.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
nice.
I forgot that.
Hey guys.
So there's some machining marks, not the best quality. Overall, I'm going to give this board like a 7 out of 10 for like quality, and that's against a Bauer, that's against the Crown, that's against the Iron. These super duper high end boards.
What was the packaging like? Because that was another thing with that group buy initially.
Great.
Yeah.
100%. Top 5 packaging. It goes with the theme. I'll show it off on Saturday for the pack.
Nice.
The packaging was solid, custom foam cut, had the design. The box was the exact. I think the boxes were like the first thing that he talked about. But it was fantastic. I will say, opening it up felt like a premium experience. It's just the reason there's some anodizing problems on the internals of the board that I've seen on other boards, where it looks like maybe it was clamped together too soon, and so some of it peeled up. There's some machine marks on the plate, but most of everything that I saw that I had issue with was internal or unable to be seen once fully built, which is, I guess, all you can.
And Bessa, thank you for the tier 1. Appreciate it.
Hello. Okay.
Make it big.
That is a lot of compatibility. Look at all these holes. All right, so this offers split bottom row back. Yeah, it's insane. What I appreciate, I like the squares. I really do like the squares. It shows off kind of, it's neat. But it's like, you're like, okay, I see you. Very nice. Okay, we're offering some ISO, whatever. Like, I get some people use ISO. You got your split backspace support. Then you get to these 2 rows. I'm like, why did you even bother with the boxes? It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, it's a lot. That is definitely some Swiss cheese. I'm not kidding. I was telling him the PCB is basically the bottom 2 rows are just like, it's just rough. It's just rough.
So, it's, it's going to work. It's one of those things where it's like, if the plate doesn't offer, the only thing I'm going to have to worry about is right here, the shift, the kind of the right shift, which will be a short shift, and then might have some issues with the left shift, but bottom row is completely fixed. This does support Alps, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
The plate. So the plate kind of fixes it. So I will say, if you have like a good fixed plate, then the PCB almost doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At that point. But if you are doing something a little more open, it becomes more of a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just looked up what Grindbox just sent, the RGB KB pan, and it is
bad.
It is like, yeah.
It's no, I need to see
it's
this.
All basically the second row is, or from the top down, the second row is like the only thing that is normal. Everything else is
wow.
is like just holes.
That is interesting.
But yeah. No, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, these PCBs have their place, right?
Right.
They have their place. They're for the people that want to do some crazy stuff with 60%. You want your arrow keys on 60%. You want split backs or split space bars on. They have their place if you want to get experimental. These are one of those PCBs. I don't remember exactly how much they were. They were a cheaper price at Group Buy. It's got RGB on it. It's a little offset. That's because there's so many holes. You can tell that the RGB is not even.
Yeah.
So it's better for underglow than like a frosted case.
But it's one of those things that the PCB being like that is another sign of a 2018 offering. I feel like with what the boards that we've had, look at the PCBs, look at what Will was doing with the Kate and the what's the other one? Can't remember.
Which
the two Wilba PCBs that are 60. He's got his 260, the WT60C and the WT60D, right?
Yeah.
Like having two offerings, the Weird Flex. Thank you. But those two offerings, the ANSI, much more condensed in terms of layouts, much more precise. You're not having to go crazy with it. And it's just easier to use. It's easier to program. Like, I think that PCB is a perfect example of like what you would get in 2018 versus what we're seeing now. Like the ANSI is probably the same price, if not maybe even less expensive than what that PCB was at Group Buy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got two of these. I'm keeping one because I talked to Osiris and we are going to do a 2018 build with one of these bad boys. So we're going to kind of like, take a step back a couple years. We're going to take a PCB like this. We're going to build it with an aluminum plate. I don't know exactly yet. It's going to be some sort of 60% keyboard. We're going to take a step back. We're going to maybe use some box switches, maybe some Zeal V1s.
We got to find some switch stickers, not films, the stickers.
Stickers. We're going to use some GMK stabs. We're going to Band-Aid mod those GMK stabs. Maybe use some dielectric grease on there. And we're just going to build this 2018 board. So I'm excited about doing a build like that where it's just something different, right? Something, something to kind of go, what's that Matchbox 20 songs like, let's see how far we've come. That was a really bad joke.
Yeah, it was.
So,
but
yeah, it was terrible, but I'm okay with it. I'm comfortable in my own skin. Here's something else that I want to talk about because I know while Osiris, you have not strayed as far as I have, at least when it comes to the hard decision of 60%, because you've always been a big fan of 65%. Things change. And so I guess PSA, don't be afraid to, if you like something and like find what you like. We've always talked about find what you like, find your kind of niche, find your, if not find what you like, find what you don't like and avoid stuff like that. So for me, HHKB was something that I really love. I love the look of it, but I could not stand typing on it. I thought, I even was like, oh, I'll do it at work. And I was like, I just found myself hitting that blocker a lot. And kind of move away from that. You know, we both started with different switch preferences than we did. And we both started with different plates, and we both started with different, you know, tastes of keycaps and all of that stuff. And don't be afraid to kind of let that shift. And you know, what's great about this hobby, 95% of the keyboards that you own are worth at minimum what you paid for.
Yeah.
At absolute minimum. So don't be afraid to shift. You know, about a year and a half ago, I sold 90% of my keyboard collection. I sold everything except my TX60 and just got rid of all of it and was like, I'm just going to start fresh. I'm going to start fresh because the M0110 is coming.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago.
Yeah, true. No, it's interesting because you were hard in on HHKB at that time. Obviously, that changed pretty significantly. I mean, even your...
I still liked 65% of that time.
Yeah, that was the time when you had your Lumina was going to be in HHKB. You had purchased a Zephyr. Yeah, so like you've come a long way. Also, talking chat about not using dielectric grease anymore. People still use it. It was way more popular in 2018. Now, obviously, people are using a little bit more of 205 grade 0. You can still use dielectric grease. It's just people, over time, it kind of gets a little bit gunky.
Yeah, it collects dust easy. Chris Card, you had a question. KBD8X Mark II. I think it's a fantastic board. If you can get one at group buy price, get it. To me, it is one of the best price to performance boards. For $300, you are getting a board that feels just as good. It sounds amazing. It looks solid. Like, to me, that's one of the best kind of that price range, that $300 price range. To me, that's one of the best keyboards at that price, if not the best keyboard at that price range.
Yeah, the Zephyr was a strange period in the Chewy timeline. It was. And to think, the times when you wake up really early to get things, you end up, like, I guess other than the Fjell, you're not a fan of what you wake up at Dark 30 to...
You know it, man. And it's... things change. What's fun? I love the Fjell. I don't really... You know what's funny? I don't really have... I have one more kind of grail. I don't really have, like... I love my Singa. I have it. I think it's fantastic. I don't plan on getting rid of it because it sounds too good to get rid of. But I wound up selling my Fjell because it was making room. I will say this now. I was able to catch a W on a Key Colt. So I got the Key Colt 160 coming in. Very, very excited for that. That will be built here in longer than I want it to be. It's going to be sitting in a box for a hot minute. But I was able to get one of the extras on the 160. And that's kind of the grail, right? You're gonna love that thing. I know. I watched your stream of it, or the 165 as well. Very excited for it. That's something that, you know, I've always wanted. I do think as of right now, physically out, the JO2 is going to come out and start rivaling this, I think, a lot. And then whenever Smith and Rune, and if Dixie ever makes a 60%, I think these are the people that can make these boards. But as of right now, I think there is no better 60% gasket mounted board, or even really 60% board, better than a Key Colt 160. I think 165, I think Key Colt's kind of in like third place. TKL, I think there's arguments about other boards at 60%. I don't think there's really much argument past the Key Colt 160. There's just not a lot of things out right now that are, a lot of the 60% boards, they weren't going gasket, and I don't think the Polaris really holds attuned to that.
The only other one would be maybe like the tinned, but that's not out. That's not shipped yet. That just ran.
That's not shipped. Yeah, and then like the goose kit, the goose kit,
yeah.
the goose kit's there. It's all right, but it to me kind of looks boring. Like, I'm sorry, kind of looks boring. Like, it's got the design look, it's got the feel, it's got the sound, it's got everything. So it is hard to get a key code, but it's becoming easier because they're releasing so many in the wild.
It was crazy to like think about how they literally over more than doubled the amount of key colts in the world. Like 2 weeks ago. Like, yeah. That's just nuts.
Unicorn. I don't like the unicorn, and I'm pretty sure. Osiris and I are pretty. I gotta say, so my wife loves like unicorns, like the actual like mythical beast. But so when I said I don't like the unicorn, she just like shot daggers at me with her eyes. But no, I don't actually like the unicorn. I think the gaskets on those. I tried one at we both tried a couple at the Houston meetup, and then we got to try a few more in NorCal. Wasn't anything special. I think you could achieve kind of the same thing with just some O-rings. Like,
I think the unicorn is held back by the mounting style, right? Like, I think it's not engineered as well as something like the Key Colt, or if look at the J02 that's coming out soon. I think it's a little bit different experience. Also, you can't use screw-in stabs. It kind of feels weird or doesn't work, right? Like, ask Huey how that worked out.
The other thing with the unicorn versus the key versus honestly the unicorn versus like a lot of other keyboards, there is a lot of room for user error in the build. Yeah. There's a lot of room for you to fuck it up. So what about a top mount board? It's very easy to build, right? A top mount board, a sandwich mount board. These are builds that can be done easy, that can be mounted easy. When it doesn't take a whole lot of extra time aligning things, because gaskets, you can kind of, if you have to place the gaskets yourself, that can be a little bit goofy. I know with something like the Bauer, the gaskets were already there, so it was a little bit, but then even getting the pressure correctly, you start kind of having those, like the difficulty rating in video games where it's like 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, like that's kind of the 2 to 3 star, where like, a plateless, or not plateless, but like a top mount board is just a little bit easier. It's that kind of easier one to do. Because I would even say that why can't I go? I'm sorry, tired brain. Tray mount can be a little tricky. Getting it lined up evenly, that can be a little bit tricky. And I think that's just one where there's a lot of room for error building a unicorn. And if you screw it up, you kind of screw it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. It's just even boards like someone's talking about the Leaf 60. My big thing with the Leaf 60 and my big thing with basically all of the Fox Lab boards is the PCBs, man. You got to have a custom PCB for it, right? Like, I can replace, as long as I can go reach out to KeyCult and probably get a new PCB. There was a PCB remanufacturing for all of the Fox Lab boards, and none of them got to the level of being redone for on the interest check. So like, yeah, I don't know.
We've been preaching that forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's give us something, the 60% boards. Even the key colt, the Kate can be used in a key colt because it has that JST connect.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to start seeing more of that. It's some of these boards. It's you want PCBs to be able to support a lot of things, and you don't want to have to be reliant on having to track down a PCB. Sometimes, yes, it can be a little bit difficult, but like the TKL that I have uses an H87. Like, I can go buy one of those. Luckily, Alice PCBs are a lot easier to find nowadays than they used to be. And the Singa, I could find that would be a little tricky, but I could find something that would, even a KBD 75 PCB would work in that case. And well, hopefully I wouldn't have to buy now that RGB, whatever thing that Grind sent in the chat, that's bad, but hopefully I wouldn't have to buy the atrocious KBD 75 V2 PCB.
Oh my gosh. The weirdest layout ever, where it literally supports like 40% plus numpad. Like
short 35%.
I want to see someone who uses that. I need to see someone who uses the
should build one like that.
The 40%. Yeah, what color combo did you get with the key cult bucknut ass? I'm interested.
White and brass.
Ooh. Matching the white and brass is your MO right now.
It is, but the other thing too is it was kind of like a subtle knock at myself of like that's what I got the Lumina in. I've always wanted like a white, where the brass kind of peeks through on the side. I really love the E6 V2, the by exclusive. I've always loved the way those keyboards looked. I thought they looked fantastic. The issue was proprietary PCB. Didn't like that. And kind of along with the same lines of the Leaf 60, it's great, but proprietary PCB means I can't just go pick one up on Mech Market, because a lot of them are like, oh, but it's built with a soldered PCB, and if you screw that up, then boom. So yeah, white with the brass. Wanted a little extra heft. So.
And yes, DD Decline, he did buy in on both the M0110 and the Lumina. We both actually got in on Lumina.
Yeah.
He actually talked me into it, which
I did.
So
it happens.
Hey, you know what? It happens.
I've made up for it. I feel
you have.
I feel like I've made up for it over the years. And I have my M0110. It delivered. At this point now, it does not matter. I don't care. It does not matter because it delivered.
It's erased from the brain.
It's erased from the brain. It's kind of like think. I mean, this is an extreme, juxtaposition of if Amazon delivers something a day late, like you're like, oh man, it was a day late. Once you get it, does it really matter you had to wait an extra day? Does it really matter that I had to wait an extra 18 months? Yes, it does. I could have sold this a long time ago and gotten something, but yeah, I got it.
Yeah, and so I want to transition to another topic, because I find it interesting, having now spent a little bit of time with an Infinity set, and spent some time with JTK as well as Max Key and EPBT, a lot of the more budget options, the budget alternatives to the big boys, the GMKs, the signature plastics. And this is something that our good buddy Langlandia has talked about, is how price and quality interact with each other from a consumer standpoint and what the expectation should be, and then in turn how that can be benefited, or in some cases I feel like it gets somewhat ruined by the aftermarket pricing. And I feel like, as a community, we do have a very, very high expectation for the products. I think more than what a lot of other industries' expectations are, specifically with like keycap sets as of late. And like, I feel like there should be more of an acceptance of a variance with like Infinity sets because of how inexpensive they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, I was doing that to Nick clicks.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, it's, I'm really excited. I don't have any experience with Infinity, so you've got all the experience right now. I've got Grain coming in. It should be here probably in the next month. Hope so. So I'm excited to get my hands on something like that, because I'm excited to see the quality. I'm excited. I love GMK. I think Cherry Profile ABS feels great. I had Grayscale, EPBT Grayscale, so I've had some PBT sets that I enjoyed. I really do enjoy. I think PBT sounds so good when you're wanting that thocky, warm sound. It sounds amazing.
So deep.
The first time I heard Zycos was on PBT caps in a and a tofu, and it sounded great. It sounded fantastic. I had creams in it with PBT caps that I thought sounded unbelievably good. So PBT sounds really, really good, but was always kind of held back with that quality, like Osiris said. So, but if I'm spending $90 on something that would cost me $140, I'm going to expect that $50 difference to matter on a couple things. Maybe it's not the sharpest thing in the world, but at the end of the day, to me, it's like you can either be really, really picky, and you have every right to be that picky, but you have to spend the extra money to be that picky. If you don't like the finicky stuff, don't get it. Right? It's as simple as that. So it's kind of like that's what's great about this hobby, and that's what I'm happy Infinicky is doing, is they're bringing up good stuff, very solid stuff, and competitively priced. They're bringing that stuff. I also have PBT Infinicky. My wife bought Infinicky Pastel Rainbow, so excited to see the kind of juxtaposition of like super duper bright colors and then grain, which is a lot darker. But I want to have a bunch of different options at different tiers, because then you can go in and go, hey, this is 95% as good as GMK, and I really like this, and I'm really hoping that I like Infinicky, so then I can start going, hey, if you want something you want to shave 20, $30 off, instead of going for white on black, why don't you go for Infinicky white on black instead of GMK?
Yeah. Well, plus the timing aspect too of like Infiniky's coming a lot quicker. And DD to Clyde pointed out about the PBT cap tolerances on that Novel Keys released, which we talked about. I love that. Apparently, from what I had heard, is that they actually got some crap for that people were pretty upset about that. But it's like one of those things, if people are getting upset about that, like, it's one of those things, you do that, so when someone comes back to you and says, why is my keycap set all messed up? Why does the stem go all the way out to the edge? Why is it a little bit off? You can say, well, I have this document that is linked to that you can look at that shows you, and we were told about this, and it makes it to where they don't have to have that conversation. They have something they can point to and be like, well, you were told that it could be like this. Right? Like you're setting it up. You were preparing those expectations. Because what I feel like a lot of times is that, and what I've seen recently, there are some issues with like GMK. I'm not going to say there's not, but I think there's some things that are being a little bit overblown that have been there for a long time, that people are less knowledgeable about the history of it. Maybe it's their first couple sets and they've been told this is the best, and then they don't realize that GMK's had these issues for years, and they're upset about it. I think I might hold off a little bit about it. Maybe just don't be so upset. Don't attack the vendor. Like, it's not their fault.
Novel Keys is not making those PB. I mean, they are with the OSA sets. I know that's their thing. That's their baby. But and Starstone brings up a good point, which is if you are new to this, you're going to get scrutinized. It's if you are not at this level, then you are terrible. I don't care if it's half the price. It's got to be this much or it's shit. And that's that's kind of like I said earlier. There's holding yourself to a good standard, and then there's realizing that something slightly cheaper is going to be slightly worse, right? It's the difference between buying a metal spatula or a metal handled spatula versus a plastic handled spatula. Like, they're both going to be great, but one might be just a little bit better. But at that price, if you're buying a $24 spatula versus a $15 spatula, yeah, you're going to expect the $24 to be a little bit better. When it comes to keycaps, that suddenly gets blown out, and probably because you're not spending $25, you're spending $80 to $90 versus $130. But these all come at there's these come at different aspects of like, well, what are you looking for, right? It's with some PBT sets. Yes, there are double shot PBT sets. That's great. The colors can be a little bit iffy though. Where if you want something a little more custom. What?
The compatibility of those KBD fan sets, like, it doesn't even support split backspace.
Yeah. So, but when you go, I want a little bit more customizability with the color, then it's like, okay, well, you're having to take, if you just want really good quality and you don't really care about the color, then yeah, go for the double shot. Those are going to be better in the long run. But if you want something that's, more customizable to the board and you're going for that aesthetic and you don't mind paying for something like that, then it's like, okay, well then go for the dice up. Go for something that you're going to like a little bit more aesthetically, and it might not hold up as much in the long run. But that's the great part of this hobby. You don't have to buy any of this. You can, if you want great quality keycap sets that will get fixed if issues happen, because GMK unfortunately is kind of the wild west right now. Just get GMK at the end of the day. Like,
yeah, I mean,
like if you want quality and you want customizability with a color, then go for GMK. If you don't care about one of those things, then you can change it up.
Well, and the other thing I wanted to talk about, not just keycaps with this, but I think a big thing is also keyboards. And, you look at a board like the Polaris, right? It's a board that was designed to be at a specific price point. There were sacrifices made from AIO3 as a runner or as a designer for that, in terms of like the profitability for him, as well as other things where he made some sacrifices personally to get that board at a certain price. And, it was a great price. But now that board and other boards are selling for such a high level, like a Polaris selling for $700 on the aftermarket is like, why would you spend $700 on that when you could get the next key cult? You could get the next Smith & Rune board for that same price, maybe even a little bit less. Like in group buy, I mean, even open buys, right? Like Fox Lab does open buys, Rama does open buys. They just ran a board. Like, why are you spending so much money for a board that, while it is good, it's not $750 good, right? Like the want stuff now mentality of like what they're talking about in chat is like, it's like, come on, man. Like you can get so much more out of your money if you're just willing to wait. And we're not in the situation we were in 2018 and 2017 of where things are taking forever and ever. Like some things may take a little while, but like it's worth it, use your tofu. Like you could go buy a Clippa on 1UP, like buy a Clippa and then also get like an iron and group buy.
Right. Clippa's a solid board. The one argument to that, which I 100% agree. The one argument to that, some of these boards are harder to get. Yes, absolutely. But the Ramas and the, a lot of these other boards are just as good. They're solid boards that you are able to get in on a little bit more. These, like an M60A is going to, one, hold its value, because Polaris, it wouldn't surprise me if the Polaris starts dropping, especially if they release more of them. And we don't know gasket length, because if these gaskets deteriorate faster, then you might run into some issues. So, and when someone asked, do you actually daily drive your GMK sets? Yes, shine them up. So, but that I want it now, like, I kind of get it. I understand you want you want it and you want it now. I find myself being more impatient about things that are not keyboard related. I'm like, come on. So come on, Amazon, what the fuck? But so whenever things take like an extra day on Amazon, I get like outrageously annoyed, but I can wait 25 months for a keyboard.
Yeah, and I think it's one thing, it is easy for us to sit here and say, yeah, wait, because we have keyboards, and I understand the people who are, getting their first boards and they're really excited and they don't want to have to wait for it, but it's like a board like the Clippa was in stock last week on 1UP keyboards, right? Like, go pick that up and then like go get that and be happy with that, and then save your $600 for the next great board that's in group buy, because there's going to be another Polaris, not like specifically Polaris, but there's going to be another board like that where it's really good for a really good price. There's going to be another board like a Key 65, like, and they're going to just get better, right? Like, in 2 years we've come so far. Like, boards are just going to keep getting better. Like, get something that you're happy with and okay with, and then wait for something that you're really, really excited about, rather than dump all your money on a board that realistically shouldn't be, it is not worth the amount of money that you're paying for it. Like, in relativity to what you would get if you just spent that same money and waited.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So, all in all, I think try and be patient, spend your money wisely. If you want to spend twice, 3 times as much on a Polaris, we can't stop you. Like, it's a free world, it's a free market. Like, you can go buy these keyboards for $600. It was funny. I saw a Polaris the other day that was like, "Hey, selling Polaris $600," and I was like, "Damn, it's a good price." And I was like, I shouldn't be saying that's a good price. That's still that's still twice as much, if not close to, about twice as much as what it was at Group Buy. So, make your decisions. If you think a Polaris is worth $550 to $750, we can't stop you, but know that there are boards like that, like Osiris says, that you would be just as happy with. And if that's your grail, spend the money on the grail. But if it's not your grail, if it's just something like, oh, I'd love to have a Polaris, it's not worth, I don't think the board's worth 600. Not many boards are worth twice their value.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and Tactilitarian talks about how it's a lot to keep up with and it's a lot, but it's like the Klippas on 1UP were not up for like 15 minutes. They were up for like days. They might still be available. Like I can look right now. Like, it's not, it's one of those things. It's like, people just have to understand to be a little bit patient with it, and they can get a lot more out of their money, right? Everyone can obviously do whatever they want, but like, man.
And this is where the 2018 thing, I still think, kind of holds true. This hobby is still a small hobby. It's huge in the sense of compared to 2018, but you still have to go find the things. Like when Osiris and I started, we had to find where all this shit was. You watched Top Clack to see if, 2018, you watched Top Clack so that Huey and Brian could tell you what was going on that week. And there was, maybe 2 or 3 interest checks, and 1 to 2 of them never actually saw the light of day until like 2 years later. You watched that, you went through Reddit, you went through Geek Hack to find all these things. Vendors weren't really a thing. And so Tactilitarian, I agree, it's a little confusing. You do have to kind of keep your eye out, but if you really want something, you kind of have to, it's kind of what you have to do right now. We're not big enough to have, the Amazon one-stop shop of here's everything that's going on right now. You just kind of have to have your ear to the ground. And we can do our best as content creators and as streamers to try and inform you about things that are going on. But at the end of the day, some things just sell out quickly. If you look at, perfect example, when Nathan Kim said creams are the best for gaming, it was impossible to find creams for 2 months.
Yep.
Like the entire market can shift like very, very quickly. Something can go up, and then a Klippa can go up on 1UP, and then someone buys it and flips it for $100 more, and then someone sees that and they're going to go, oh, I'm just going to go buy all the Klippas and then go flip them. Like, the market can happen in a second. It can be over.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to keep your ear to the ground. It's maybe it's because we're used to it from 2018, and yes, there should be a change. I think it should be easier to get this information, but
it's way easier now.
It's significantly easier now than it was, and I hope that we can continue to move forward on, hey, this is everything that you can do. It'd be great to have that, but we're just not there yet.
Yeah. And Nick Click says, so we're stamping a "this does not apply to Key Cult" board sticker on this discussion. I'm like, no. Like, I think especially with the amount of money that Key Cults sell for on the aftermarket, you could get a ton of boards. I mean, realistically, my thought process towards the aftermarket prices of boards like Keycult is like, if you're gonna pay $2,000, you might as well just save up money and just get a commission one, right? Like, if you're willing to drop $2,000, just save up a little bit more money and get something that is exactly what you want and made for you.
And, yeah, guaranteed. You don't have to fight people for a commission. You might have to wait a little bit, but so. Anyways, so all in all,
or buy 5 other boards. True.
What are we taking away? Exactly. What are we taking away from this discussion? The first thing: be open to change, because change happens. Your tastes change. Everything changes in this hobby almost overnight, it feels like, and be open to it.
Yeah.
Raz, use your tofu. We need to get that, like, use your damn tofu. Shut up and use your tofu. Use your tofu, get a Keycult. I love it. But be open to change, be open to the fact that this hobby is changing, and, you know, don't pay $800 for a Polaris.
Yeah. Pay $800 for a Polaris. There's a lot of other stuff that you can get. Keycult commissions will go fast once they reopen. I mean, probably, but hey, there'll always be more. Like, that's the thing. There's always more. And it's always going to get better. Like, that's the other piece of, like, boards are getting better. Design's getting smarter. It's like your patience will be returned to you if you can continue the patience, right? Like, that's a thing. But we've got Keyboard of the Week up next.
Got one more thing. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Clack Fancy.
Oh, yes.
Clack Fancy. So we got to talk about Clack Fancy. So tomorrow, !CF. It does not stand for carbon fiber. It is Clack Fancy. It is a Discord keyboard meetup. We're going to be streaming some of it on Twitch, but you can also catch it in Discord as well. It's going to be this big community event. They're giving away a lot of things. So it's kind of being run like a convention, right? But it's through Discord. You're going to have lots of text channels that you can be a part of. There's going to be lots of speakers talking, some awesome speakers. There's definitely, I'm really excited for the artisan talk. So as of right now, it's going to be starting at 8 p.m. Central Time. The first 40 minutes, we're going to hear from the Keycult, the Key Company, and Mint Lodica. And they're going to be doing like a vendor discussion and vendor Q&A. So what's great is they're going to be kind of giving a presentation about what it's like being a vendor in the hobby, and then doing some Q&A at the end. And they're kind of going to be overlapping a little bit, where like Q&A might overlap, but we're kind of doing 40-minute segments. So what's up next after that? Or are you looking at the same page I am?
I am not looking at the same page you are. I'm trying to find
keep on. It's on information on the channel. So next up at 8:40 p.m. Central Time, an artisan panel with Blood Caps, Death Caps, Hungerworks Studios, and Bag Caps, as well as being kind of run by Prime Caps. They're going to be discussing artisans, how to make artisans, and all of that good stuff. Cyrus and I have really started to appreciate artisans in the year of 2020. Quarantine on Deck was very eye-opening, and we got to learn a lot. So very, very excited for that, as well as they're going to be talking about 40s after that.
That's a segment that I don't think we have a lot of input on there, Chewy.
Yeah.
That's kind of not for us, but that'll be happening at 22:20, or for you non-military timers, that's 10 p.m. and 20 p.m. But that'll be happening, led by Wallet Burner and Trash Man, Abeck, Mike the Tiger, others. So 40s gang will be rising up, as Blood and Steel says. And then after that, the meetup will end at 11 p.m. or 2300. But of course, because it's in a Discord server, you can still hang out as late as you want.
Yeah, that's when the streams are going to stop.
Yeah,
that's when we'll shut down those. But yeah, it's the Discord's there. It's kind of meant to be a kind of a central meetup. There's lots of stuff to give away as well. So I know that there's going to be like forms that you have to fill out. All this stuff is in the Discord, so definitely. Chewy, am I aware of Gondo's new PCB? Yes. We can talk about that whenever I get it in hand. Because there's very much a reason why it's named that. But yeah, the meetup is I'm very, very excited. I think it's going to be a very cool meetup. We'll be in the Discords, probably more just on chat than anything. We'll one of us will probably be moderating our own Twitch chat if you're watching it on ours. If you're in the Discord, we'll be also hanging out in the Discord, just kind of moderating and saying hello to folks, and share your pets. There's a pet sharing channel.
Yeah, we've both shared our pets.
Hell yeah. So be sure, if you want to win some stuff, you want to learn some new things, this is not a one-time thing too. Clack Fancy is going to be I don't know if they're wanting to do it monthly or every other month or every 6 to 8 weeks or whatever. This is not the first time. This is all shout out to Langlandia. Langlandia set up 95% of this. So just a very, very cool idea. I'm glad it's getting done.
Speaking of Mr. Langlandia, we can now move in to our keyboard of the week. So, if you're unfamiliar with this, before we get the intro going, there is a keyboard pictures channel in our Discord server. Head on over there and put some pictures of your keyboard in there, and we're going to look through all of them. We're going to take a gander at them. We're going to pick our favorites, and then you will decide who wins keyboard of the week, and you'll get in the background of the stream, you will get a special role as keyboarder of the week, as well as the banner on our Discord channel. Pretty cool.
Absolutely. Very, very cool. So, do you need to?
We're going to officially start it.
Welcome to Keyboard of the Week, brought to you by Mechs on Deck.
Okay, so while you guys are throwing pictures in there, we're going to talk. I'm very excited to talk about this picture in particular because it looks fucking amazing. But let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors and our partners of this while you guys are putting in the pictures and filling up that Discord channel with pictures. Quick shout out. So Dixie Mech, you can go to mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. You got GMK Pono and GMK Minimal running right now. Also, if you head on over to Dixie's Discord, and I know he announced that he's doing a giveaway on Twitter for Minimal. So if you want a free set of Minimal V2 or 2, I think it's V2 or 2, GMK Minimal, be sure to go check his Twitter. I know he's doing a giveaway there. So that's pretty freaking awesome. Who doesn't like free stuff? So be sure to check that out. You can go to mechsondeck.project.link. GMK Sumi running for 4 more days, so be sure to pick that up. GMK Dolch R5 is running right now as well through the rest of the month. So if you want a classic set, be sure to go head over there. CannonKeys.com/mechsondeck for the Cannon Keys Zero keycap set, which is the new Cannon Keys PBT set. Very awesome black and white set. And then switchmod.net/mechsondeck. I know they've got lube stations up right now. You can get 4% off of those. So lube stations are great. He's also got some springs and some keister switches, or keister caps and all that stuff. So be sure to check that out as well. And the last thing I will say is Zap Cables, our partners. Zap Cables makes the best cables. Be sure to go grab one of those. If you are looking for a cable, Smith & Rune, if you want some comfy pants. Pick up some comfy clothes while you are patiently or impatiently waiting for the Iron 180 to drop. And then while you're waiting for that Iron 180 to drop, go ahead and subscribe to Type Beast's newsletter. He makes a fantastic newsletter. I'm sure the Iron 180, whenever it runs, will be a part of that conversation. And he always has great things to say. So if you want a really good take on the keyboard hobby, Type Beast is the way to go. I also want to shout out Nick's Clicks. Thank you for the compliment. Appreciate it, dude. So, sorry. I'm going to drink some water now.
There you go. There you go. Well, first up, we have quite a looker. This has got the full vibes going, and this is from Mr. J Shuff. It's the Cafe Brower.
Cafe Brower. I love it.
It's a Bauer with filmed creams. Wow, that's work right there. With GMK Cafe. This thing looks great.
I love Noe KB, most expensive bookmark ever. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I like DD Decline. Olivia looks great, but I don't get the coffee tie-in.
I love it. Be sure to go tell Lang that it looks like Olivia. He loves that. This is cool. This is the first time, but we don't really see a lot of these. So this is the brown color of the Bauer. We don't see a lot of these out in the wild. So, and it's like this set was made for this case. It's got the brass bottom. I think it was bronze, I believe is what the official name of it. The bronze top, the bronze anodized top. This is clean. This is fucking clean.
Also, I like the little two creams.
Yeah,
on the disc. Yeah, that's pretty nice. J Shuff looks good. Next up, J Pitcher, the current keyboarder of the week owner. This is a new one for him. This is a Kokua with a carbon fiber plate, alpacas with cream stems and 65-gram springs, with desk keys films, with GMK Serica plus OG space keys. Interesting.
Ooh, I like it. Looks very clean. Serica, I'm not a huge fan of Sub Legends, but Serica is kind of one of those OG sets. The yellow really pops. Love the Alice style board. I think it looks great. I think bottom row looks cool. I like that you kind of split up the bottom row. You didn't make them black. You didn't make them yellow. It was kind of like, oh, let's kind of do this yellow, white, or yellow cream look. I really like that.
Yeah, this looks super clean. Serica looks great. I feel like it's a set that just looks awesome on pretty much any board. Like any gray, black, polycarb, it just looks great on it. So yeah, super clean, and obviously you take great pictures as well, so that helps.
Yes, always helps.
What we got next?
Next up, we got a unicorn with OG double shots and some GMK CM. Is it CMYW? CMKW. So I love the kind of mix and match of like old school, new school unicorn we kind of shit on earlier. That's not to say the unicorn's a bad keyboard. We're just saying that the unicorn, in our opinion, does not match up to the standards of other gasket mount 60%. But this is a very, very cool looking board. The OG stuck with the OG because it's split backspace, but I don't think OG does split backspace. So CMYW. Well, there is a small typo. Not going to penalize you for that. But yeah, and then the shine, as 10 Peaches says, that shine. Those have been loved.
Yeah, these caps have been loved. They're so shiny that it looks like some of the caps are starting to take off a little bit of a different profile in the corners. This looks great. The yellowing is pretty cool. It's cool to see like vintage caps on a board that's like somewhat modern. Like obviously the unicorn is a little bit older now, but yeah, this looks great. Absolutely.
So next up, we've got one of the many now in the wild. The Key Cult 165 black brass. This is by Stash. Stash, if you're in chat, go ahead and throw that VOD. I know you just built this 2 days ago. I want to say yesterday, but today it's not Monday. I know you built this or rebuilt this on Sunday, so throw that VOD link in there. It's got 9,000 or 8,008 on it. Looking very, very clean. It's a key cult. It's a key cult. It looks clean, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's a key cult. Also, I love 8,008. 8,008 looks great.
Got the double X.
The double X, dude. Built with his own printed PLA plate, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, this looks great. I can't imagine that it doesn't feel. I imagine this feels amazing and sounds amazing as well. Yeah,
Absolutely. And I like the map of the world wrist rest. That's a cool wrist rest. So very well done. What do we got up next?
this is an interesting one. This is a chalice built with a carbon fiber plate with dry yellows, the new novel keys switches, lubed with 205 grade 0, spring swapped with 70 gram TX springs with desk keys, films with 8008 on top of it. Again, 8008 looks great.
8008's great.
This is like basically the same desk mat, the same set as
I
the
love
last
it.
picture.
Got the Supreme cup just peeking in, just saying hello, just letting you know the hype is real. This is like that may be the exact same cable that I have, so props.
No, it looks great. I mean, the acrylic Alice's are just awesome. Like,
I love, yeah, they give that much vibrance to the RGB. Like, I feel like RGB's kind of making that little like
bit.
Alex Odos. If anything, I know that I just like obsess over him. I think Alex Odos just reached into the far depths of this hobby and was like, "No, I am not letting RGB die." Like,
You're coming with me.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping. So yeah, straight cable, dude. Straight cable gang.
Dude, straight cable's the way to go.
They look cool. They do look cool. The coils look neat, but for daily use, we got some fire in the Discord right now. So next up, we've got a Bauer with inks palm plate 9009. This is a great looking board. I bet this feels very great. I bet it sounds very soft, a little muted. The inks in the palm plate is going to make this quiet, so it's going to be usable at work. Yeah. And I mean, if you're bringing that bad boy to work, that's one reason to not hate going to work.
Yeah, I mean, this is similar. I have a palm plate in my Bauer, but I have mauves instead of inks, and man, palm plate is just such a good plate material. I imagine, like Chewy said, this is a little bit quiet. This probably feels amazing. It looks great. I mean, 9009 is a classic set for a reason, because it just looks so clean and looks so classic. It's a very nostalgic set. Yeah, I love this. I mean, just like Jay Shuff's Bauers are great. Like, they're an amazing board. They look super clean.
Can confirm Bauers are great. What do we got going on next?
This is is this a 5 degree? Yeah, it's acrylic 5 degree. Another 8008 with some Duroc 62 gram linears, lubed and filmed, ANSI PCB, and a brass plate. I mean, hey, this thing looks like this is a board that I feel like a lot of people, it goes back to what we were saying. A lot of people would look at this and say, oh, this is a beater. Like, oh, this isn't worth anything. Like, oh, I want to go from this to like a key cult, or might be the person that's looking to spend $700 on a Polaris.
Shots
this is
fired.
Great.
This is better than the $700 Tfue board.
True. The OG Tfue board.
Yeah, so J-Key, he streamed this. So J-Key, throw the VOD link. I know you sent it in our Discord. Throw the VOD link if you're listening into our chat. Guys, go follow J-Key. He's kind of, I believe he's started relatively recently with his streaming. And 5 degrees are great. What's cool, you don't see this. 5 degrees have these blockers that let you try HHKB, and they let you try wind keyless without having like a goofy, awkward like spot there with your PCB just sticking. Like, yeah. I think that's really cool. Like, I still think, Tofu doesn't do this. I think if you're like, I know I want 60%, but I don't know if I want that, I might get a 5 degree first and try it. Yeah. Try it with a bunch.
And I mean, this is a board, you get this, maybe you end up getting something else later down the road. You're not using this as much. Buy a hot swap PCB, just use this as your tester. Like, this is a great board to have. And this thing lights the fuck up when you have RGB.
The fuck up. My wife has, I call it the rainbow vomit, the unicorn vomit board. Like the rainbow explosion. It's just all RGB. I've got the rainbow fade caps from Mastrop on it with a unicorn spacebar. Like it's just like all rainbow everything, and it looks awesome when it's lit up. So like it's not really he's going for the kind of more subtle RGB on this one, but that thing it diffuses light very well.
That it does. What do we got next, Chewy?
At the Prime Elise, if you are interested in this board, I'm sure they will talk about this in the 40s chat coming tomorrow on Clack Fancy. So we got DDD Klein built this just the other day. The Prime Elise brass plate Zycos, my guy, and GMK Phosphorus with an ET fee cap on there. GMK Phosphorus, very awesome looking set. We're starting to see them pop up. Very cool looking set. And overall, this is a board where I'm like, I would totally use this. And because it's kind of goofy, but you kind of get that ergo feel to it.
It's fun, it's cute, but it's also a little bit serious, right? Like
it wants to be formal, but it's also here to party.
It's the tuxedo t-shirt of keyboards.
The Prime Elise, the tuxedo t-shirt. I love it.
No, it looks super clean.
Also, it's got Zycos in it, so this board's not fucking around, and it didn't cost that much.
Yeah, and it's got a brass plate, dude.
It's the mullet. It is the mullet. I love it.
It looks great, dude.
After that, let's something I know that you kind of have your eye on a little bit. Maybe not this exact version, but what do we got going on?
This is a Romeo with it's in an acrylic case with koala switches, which I don't feel like we don't see a ton of those, as well as GMK Mizu, and he's like full novelties on the Mizu. This looks super clean. I like these boards. I want more of boards like this. The Romeo, the Discipline 65, Styrium, all those boards are pretty awesome. I would like to get one. I just like the aesthetic of having all of the components at the top of the board. I just think it's a cool touch. We've kind of moved away from through-hole diodes on a lot of PCBs. This kind of gives you a little bit more of an appreciation for it. So I like the way this looks. This looks super clean. Also, Mizu looks great. So
yeah, Mizu looks great on whiteboards. So next up, we got, this is a clean ass looking board. We got a Kepler, the 40-pound, like just insanely heavy TKL with GMK muted plus Mr. Sleeves, a classic combination. Holy Jesus Christos, so very very clean. This is that like aesthetic. You want like an all caps, separate every letter. This is aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, dude, this thing may not look crazy, but good lord, this board is heavy. The Kepler is a crazy board. It's got a LEMO connector. It doesn't even have a USB port. It's got a LEMO connector. It's like full on next level. Also, muted Mr. Sleeves. Mr. Sleeves looks better with muted than the stock accent kits do. So like, yeah, this is super clean look. Hopefully one day we'll get another version of this combo.
Yeah, absolutely. What's up next?
We've got a Think 6.5 with some lubed Holy Jesus switches. This looks awesome. He's got the Koi Pond spacebar in there as well as a Gengar. This is pretty fancy. 8008 going on there. He's got the
it's the night of 8008.
Dude, 8008 is just prevalent. But yeah, this looks super clean. I imagine this thing probably feels pretty cool.
But I bet this thing sounds amazing.
Yeah, dude, the PC Think 6.5 sound great.
and you got Holy Pandas in there, or Holy Jesus. So it's oof. I would absolutely love to type on that. And I love that it's kind of it doesn't have it looks cool. This looks like it's like I'm gonna make this board for me. Like this is definitely something that was built for that person. I love that you get to see some personality in the board.
Yeah, and I like this Think 6.5 badge way better than the V2. Like the V2 is cool and all. The OG one I think looks a lot cooler in my opinion. The badge.
I'm not a big fan of the badge on either. I did like that they gave you the option to get rid of it, but I do agree. I think this one looks a little bit cleaner. Next up, we got a Fiel in black with some samurai. Sorry for the yawn. GMK Samurai. An SUK Red Friday Kibuto. It's got some olives on it on a poly plate, so that thing sounds fantastic. And Fiel's just sound really great. Very clean look.
Yeah, I mean this is super clean. Red Samurai is a set that was super popular. Just ran round 2 recently, as well as its brother in Blue Samurai. Yeah, it looks clean. I know both Chewy and myself are bigger fans of the 3 sub-legend on the number row rather than the 4. The 4 gets a little bit too crowded. 3 looks better. This looks super clean. It's super clean. Not doing anything crazy. Keeping it consistent and nice.
Yep.
Although you're missing out on the full right shift, I gotta take some points off. Full right shift is why.
It's tough.
Even if you're doing ANSI, just throw a short right. That's just value right there.
Could be an instant 60. It could be a
true.
It could be a hot swap. So the Thumal, the tired Thumal, the tired. If it's a hot swap, we can give you those points. Sadly, this is a drop set. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's limit. Okay. Points given. Points no longer taken away.
Yeah, points no longer taken away.
They didn't have the option to instant 60 can't do split right shift. Noted. But next up, the NK65 V2 Silk Blacks NK OSA sleeves. Yup, I'm a noob, but loving it. Trust me, as a noob, you're doing better you have better stuff than either of us had as our noob boards.
Yeah, dude. This is awesome, man. Like, you got the OSA sleeves. This is like the full Novel Keys experience right now.
Oh yeah.
Like, honestly, I wanted one of these purple NK65 V2s in the purple. Like, I wanted one. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to take one away from someone who is like you, like just starting out. This is an awesome board, right? Like, this is a really cool offering, and I'm super excited that they did it, and I'm excited they're getting more and more in. And I'm happy that you're enjoying it. Happy that you're enjoying.
Chris Card, you're doing the same thing? Fuck yeah, dude. Like these entry level options are literally like so much better than anything entry level from 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, dude, even like a year ago, entry level.
Yeah. Entry level a year ago was Tofu. It was Tofu 65, KBD 67 because it had not blown up yet.
Yeah, and this is like probably, I would say this is about just as good as what you would get out of a Tofu. Obviously, it's plastic versus aluminum, but this is also a lot cheaper, like at the end of the day. So.
Absolutely. And bring us home, because you're going to type on the damn board with our final entry of the night.
What?
We got to type on this damn board.
The Tofu 60?
The Tofu. Type on your damn tofu. Type on your damn.
I'm totally over my head. Totally over my head. Okay.
We landed right on the back of the skull.
Hey, you know what? Hey, we kind of got there. This is an interesting one though, because this is a mishmash of some things that you don't really see a lot. Tofu 60, blueberries, which I think people are very much like either you love them or you hate them because of the bump. Spring swap to 98 grams. You're getting points from Chewy there on that one. SA Troubled Minds. That is a set you don't see a ton.
We are reaching way back into the past and yanking something up forward.
But on top of that, you've got the DZ60 round 3, and you've min-maxed the board, which is another thing you don't see very often.
This is we reached into the deep dark depths of 2018, 2019 for this one. I love it. I love the theme. I'm not 100% crazy about the set, but I love that they did this kind of Joker set. So the troubled minds to avoid any copyright issues. I don't know how well this would do nowadays, which might be good because it's probably not going to get run again. This is just a really, really, really cool set and a great combo.
Yeah, this is it matches perfectly. You got the cable to match. It's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. So we got to pick some boards.
What do you think?
And I don't know, man, because there are a lot of good ones. I'm going to give my runner-up. It's probably going to be the kind of honorable mention of the night is that tofu. Tofu is I think that the honorable mention of the night, I'm not as big of a fan of purple, but this should be the Mechs on deck, purple and green. It's a little bit more of like an electric yellow, but
yeah.
I'm torn. I'm torn between two 40s boards.
You're torn between the 40s. Interesting. I have one that I'm gonna pick. I know what I'm gonna pick.
Okay, you announce yours.
Because it's got a special place in my heart. Let me find it here. I think I went too far. Where is it? Did I close it by accident? I might have. Sorry, I'm going to this one. The Bauer with inks, the palm plate, and 9009. This is my selection.
There you go. See, I wanted to pick the cafe one. I think that's another honorable mention that looks fantastic. But I'm going to go with the Prime Elise. Because it won me over with Zyko, so I'll give you that. DD Decline, give you the fact that it does have Zykos. I do really love Mizu. I mean, Mizu's literally the set that sits on my Baka and will forever remain on my Baka. It's one of my favorite sets of all time. But my decision was made based on what I would love typing on the Primalese or the Romeo. I think I would enjoy typing on the Primalese more because it's like I'm already sacrificing a lot of things. Might as well make it really different.
Nice. So two different options here. The Mizu Romeo, I think, was my runner-up. Well, for me,
a lot of bangers tonight, though. A lot of bangers.
Yeah, this is a good night of different options. It was between the two Bowers and the Romeo for me. I went with this one just because it's the palm plate. This is basically almost as close as you can get without being the full setup. It's just slightly different. I rock 8008. He's rocking 9009. I rock mauves. He rocks inks. But we're both Bauer bros with the palm plate. And then, of course, this is basically embodying your original Fiel with the Zykos, but in the split 40s.
Split 40s. So the poll is up. If you are on mobile, go ahead and you'll have to double tap the screen so you can see chat, and it'll be at the top of chat. If you're on a computer, it's just going to be at the top of chat. Be sure to get those votes in. This is going to be for keyboard of the week. Chewy, we have some taste in keycaps. We both like PNC and Mizu. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy PNC. I think I love Moto. I love GMK camping. It's good taste. Good taste. So, but like I said, while this poll is running, I'm gonna shout out one more time. Clack Fancy is going on tomorrow, so be sure to join the Discord. It's going to be a really fun time. Honestly, if you can come for the whole time, absolutely. If you can only come for 5 minutes, just stop by, say hello, meet some new people. We'll be there. If you want to say hello to us, if you want to say hello to Lang, we're going to do our best to respond to everybody and chat it up. Just have some fun.
Absolutely. Keebnoo picked up camping round 2 last week. I'm excited for you. It's gonna look great.
Hell.
Yeah. So, Chewy, what's going on the rest of the week? I know we got Clack Fancy tomorrow. Then what are you doing Saturday?
We talked about it for most of tonight. The M0110, the board that I never thought I would get. I never gave up. Never gave up on the M0110. I've given up on the Lumina. Never gave up on the M0110. This is someone where John from Desk Candy did a very bad job. He admitted he did a bad job and did a much better job from this. This is someone that showed a lot of growth as a keyboard runner. I don't think he's going to be running a keyboard anytime soon because I think once he's done, he's going to be like, oh, thank God the nightmare's over. This is still running. This is not. He's kind of getting them as they come in and out. It was a big deal when I got the email saying, hey, it's going to be shipping out soon. And it was a weird day. I told Osiris it was like end of an era, from the first episode. I'm sure I mentioned the M0110 was coming in. I think episode 2 was getting into group buys.
Yeah.
And we're on episode 61 right now.
Yeah, I mean, M0110 Lumina are the boards that we look back at of like how, like what to look for when you're getting into group buys that could possibly go really south.
Yeah. Really south. Luckily, this one eventually, it went so far south, it went north. The other one left the planet a little bit. The cyber deck, cyberboard this week, the Bauer one. Ooh, close though.
One vote.
So the Bauer, congratulations to Bucknut. Congratulations, Bucknut. Absolutely. DDD Klein, good runner up. I think that's the closest we've had so far.
I think so. I just want to point out that I am back on top. Let's go, boys.
There it is. Osiris, after a 2-week drought, a 15-day drought.
Back on top, baby.
Back on top. So congratulations. The Bauer is hot. And it's a 40s. I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, but I was also like, game respects game. So, but yeah, if you guys want to see the M0110 being built, I will be on Saturday, 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. You can't win them all, Chewy. No, I can't. I also don't win them all often. Actually, I lose to Osiris on most things. Unless it's Rocket League, I will stomp Osiris at Rocket League. Outside of that, he usually wins most.
And basically anything in Grand Theft Auto as well.
Oh, yes. It's because I'm good at driving. That's my one thing. Can't aim for shit in Grand Theft Auto, but if you need a driver, hit me up. And I don't always get you. I don't get you there in the most conventional way, but I get you there in one piece.
Cyberboard, crazy. A lot of stuff going on.
Let me see this cyberboard. I just Googled cyberboard, and probably is not.
Hooligan, I will answer that question on behalf of Chewy. That is his Singa.
Oh, this, yeah. I can show it up. Come on. There it is. Moto. Got a couple artisans. Got the Taro Bear, the Mechs on Deck Bear, the Jam from the Quarantine on Deck stream. Moto Blue Accents. Got Holy Pandas in it. Yoks. Figured I'd bring the keyboard back. Last week I was trying some new things, and I was like, cool, I don't like it anymore.
So, hey, in order to appreciate it, sometimes you got to try something different.
Yep, absolutely. So, guys, thank you very much for showing up. Who are we going to be raiding?
I mean, take a gander. See what we're up what we can raid out. We've got a couple keyboard people going. Do we want to go keyboard or we want to?
Are we doing, guy chat? What are we doing? We're doing keyboard. Or are we gonna make someone show us their keyboard?
Do we want a non-keyboard? We can go non-keyboard.
Lang is still. We do got Lang. We do have Lang, but let's explore a little bit. I think we raided Lang last week.
We did.
So let's change it up just a little bit. Let's try and broaden our horizon. If you don't want to watch the next person, totally understand. I will strongly suggest go watch Lang, as he is a great friend of the channel. But let's spread our wings a little bit. Let's try and, even if you're not interested in the content, let's try and bring some new people into the hobby. That's the point of this. We're trying to spread the good word of keyboards.
I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to find someone. Let me look on my.
Ooh, I forgot. It's kind of keyboards, but it's also kind of not. We could do the Dungeons and Dragons chat versus everything.
Go for it. Let's do it.
It's run by some key people, but it's also Dungeons and Dragons. It's a little this and that. So here, I'll get that set up.
Yeah, chat versus everything. Some good buds. Dankly Frank from Prime Caps, as well as Grindbox, run this. I believe they have a guest today.
Oh yeah. So yeah, let's it's D&D. If you guys like D&D, I strongly suggest ask them about tomorrow night as well.
Yeah, they're gonna be involved. So go say what up.
What are we saying? What are we saying to him?
I mean, we can still do show me your keyboards.
Yeah, let's show off them keybs.
They just started too. They've been streaming for like 10 minutes. So check it out.
Start at, 5 or 10. Show off dim keybs. Thank you guys very much for everyone who watched, everyone who entered in the keyboard of the week. Congratulations one more time to Bucknut, and we'll see you guys tomorrow in the Discords. Bye, Switch Tester. I missed it.